Welcome on back to the Proving Grounds, powered by Verizon. I'm Mazel, joined by Jolly and Smacks yet again as we get into our second series of the day. Unfortunately, because of some technical difficulties, we could not get an interview with Team Liquid, but we'll be moving on to our second best of three of the day, and this one is going to be hype. Again, it is that quarterfinals trying to match up into the semis up there in the upper bracket. But C9 Academy taking on Dignitas Academy in this one. And I got to say, first and foremost, this one's going to be a banger every way you can look at it. You know, C9 Academy, the way they've approached the game. Dignitas with the heart of Academy. It just feels like no steal intended. But Smacks, I think when you're looking at this roster, when you're looking at, the bracket going into this one, it's important for both these two teams to make a statement here, even if it is the upper bracket.
Yeah, they want to win this match. They can go up against Team Liquid Academy, who they just saw take a 2-0 just a bit ago. I'm super excited for both of these teams as well. They've had two vastly different stories throughout this entire year. Of course, Dignitas, with most of their team being rookies who are playing in Academy for the very first time. You've got Eclipse, XU, and Darkwings, who've all had really big standout performances all throughout the year, not to mention their bottom lane as well, who's making a return from 2021. On the side of Cloud9, they've got a lot of veterans on their team who have just played the entire last year together, save for Malice, who's coming in as the big story for this team, of course.
And that's what's so interesting, right? He has come in and he has made a splash, and his whole mindset, this entire split, at least every time we've talked to him, has been, it's not about, winning or losing. It's about being in an improvement mindset, moving the team forward in all capacities in any way that he can, in the style that he brings to the table, Jolly.
Absolutely. I mean, Malice is a madman, and I think speed is one of the things that Cloud9 Academy really uses to their benefit, and going with things like the Hecarim, as we've seen Malice like to use, it definitely fits that style. Copy as well is another one that has just been popping off like none other recently. Some of the realm warps that I see out of this guy are just, he's got so much anticipation in how to play out these games. So Cloud9, once again, we're kind of looking at a team that has a favorable matchup in this one just based on standings and their performance, but I want to see an upset today. I want to see Dignitas take at least one game off of these guys.
Speaking of Dignitas, we're going to go ahead and bring up those lovely faces, the content kings of the Academy regular split. It's been a little bit quiet because everybody's getting into the nitty-gritty of Proving Grounds here, but this squad is no slouch. I know you say a little bit of an underdog story coming into this one, but when this team is functioning, when this team is especially working through XU, working through this top side of the map with the stability from bot lane Smacks, it does get terrifying.
JJ, the support for this team may be Mama Bear, but I think this whole team as 5 players is sort of more like Goldilocks, really. They need to find their happy middle ground. They're just right to really pop off as a team. We've seen them have some really high highs and some pretty low lows in this entire split so far. I think they need to get right back into the groove of things and really step it up in the early game as well. I absolutely love when XU is popping off early game. I want to see some more of that.
Speaking of XU, he is one of the spotlights, a part of the duet today, it feels like, as we focus on the jungle matchup. XU himself is a main driving force forward for Dignitas Academy, Jolly.
Oh, it's huge. I mean, a driving force and a young player at that. These 3 top players, like Smacks was saying, having such a recent introduction, but my goodness, you cannot watch this team and forget who they are and what they bring to the table, and it's very comparable. I was talking about the speed that we see Cloud9 Academy like to play with. That is absolutely the case for Dignitas Academy, a lot of that having to do with XU and Darkwings and the Wings, and of course, Spawn and JJ, they've been working together for a while now, and there's a lot of consistency in those folks in the bottom.
There absolutely is.
All 3 of us were big fans of Amateur last year too, so to see XU, Eclipse, and Darkwings come in and pop off in these games has been really exciting, even if they're doing so against other Amateur teams. It was so sad to see Immortals AoE fall that easily, but that just goes to show how strong Dignitas Academy have been and how large they've been able to grow as a unit here throughout 2022.
And especially XU, having come in, replacing Will, who was an up-and-coming jungler for Dignitas Academy, and making his own name for it, showing that the aggression does work when it's tempered, when it's utilized correctly. And gotta say, Diamond, You're a good guy. Thank you for this, because now we get one of the most aggressive, crazy junglers we could ever ask for at Academy.
That is awesome. I'm really laughing at the 0.5 scouting grounds attendance. Oh man, we should probably not unpack all of that, but
yeah,
if you
know,
not. Then that's very funny.
I wouldn't touch that with a 15-foot pole, but we do have Malice on the other side. I was saying there's a duet in the spotlight. I don't know if it's TFT or if it's just C9 versus Dignitas, as we do have Malice, as I was saying, driving force for Dignitas's XU. Well, C9 seemed to play a lot around Malice, I would say, Jolly.
Oh, absolutely. And why would you not? When you have a player like this that is so aggressive and has such a strong voice on the team on top of that, really one of the things that is always exceptionally exciting for me is to watch C9 just kind of having some sort of, not even recovery, but able to take over games and reactions, responses. I mean, this is something that Cloud9 Academy absolutely excels in, and it really follows up the rest of the team. Like I said, Copy, a pop-off player, King, a pop-off player, Darshan, we've seen how much he can do, but Malice at the end of the day is the core of this apple.
Hey, you were saying how much speed is a factor in how Cloud9 play the game. I would say that's definitely true, especially when they are playing the speedometer as well. If you go too fast against Cloud9, you crash and burn, and you're going to get a big old ticket from the Law. And the Law's name is Malice on this team most of the time. He's playing these scaling champions, usually banned out, honestly. The Karthus, the Evelynn, the Hecarim. He's only played 5 champions in this entire split. It's those 3, also Udyr and Shyvana most recently has been his muse in Champions Queue, and also in this game that we can see right here that he played against TSM Academy.
Yeah, I love it. In the beginning part, we didn't get to show it, but we had tweets, and it was Malice literally showing the 5 bans towards his champion
It's his
pool.
whole champion pool.
It's literally so rough. I have a little side point I will say, like, if we do bring up the player card for this guy, the guy looks like Thor. We just need to get him a couple sessions with Kungus in his gym, and he'll be looking just like Liam Hemsworth. But, it's always nice to get a little bit of fun facts from the players themselves, and the first non-Korean player to play in Challengers Korea, playing for BBQ Olivers.
I want to know, and I have asked previously when, Kangas has interviewed this guy, I'm like, I want to know his hair routine, okay? I need to know his hair routine. And he is a very nice guy on top of it, and certainly a player, stalwart is definitely a word that comes to mind, right? He's the resolute center core of this, and there we go. That's what it is. XU, thanks for the baptism. So we're going to have to see what is banned out. I mean, we're not going to see everything, all 5 of those banned out, that's for sure.
That's some good banter right there. I love it.
That's some good stuff. All the way harkening back to February 18th. I absolutely love it. Just getting some of those oldies but goodies. Now, I do hear Champion Select is ready to go for our second best of 3 of the day. So Jolly and Smacks, take it away.
Thank you very much, Mazel. Of course, we'll check back in with you after game number 1 is done. But we are going to have to see how this one plays out. I don't want to see another 2-0 sweep today, Smacks.
Yeah.
It's starting to kind of feel that way, given the fact that we have 2 exceptional teams in Cloud9 Academy and Team Liquid Academy. But FlyQuest earlier put up a really good fight, and you got to expect the same thing from Dignitas Academy here.
Yeah, I think for Cloud9, they are definitely the favorites going into this series. But as you said, Dignitas has been getting more on track with what I expect for this team. And that's really exciting to me, because you need to be fully in sync as a team to take down a squad like Cloud9 that is so calculated and so ready to go the distance in these games. We saw that the last few lasted like 40, 35 minutes. These ones probably will do the same if Cloud9 gets their way.
And look at that. It is a lot of jungle bans.
Yeah.
Holy cow, Smacks. I was saying there's no way that they're going to ban out all of them, but given what we're seeing from both of these teams now, Cloud9 is the Volibear, the Trundle, Lee Sin. And then on the other side, of course, Karthus, Evelynn, and Yuumi. We're still not going to see Yuumi. We still don't get to see how well the Sona does in Academy up against that one.
Yeah, teams have needed to ban away those 2 champions from Malice's pool. Those are the main ones that deal mostly magic damage. Udyr still does that a lot, but it's not to the same level. So when you take away those 2 in specific, you can remove a lot of those options that we see from Cloud9 a lot of the time. And Malice just going to go right over to Hecarim. Not pulling out the new special hotness of the Shyvana quite yet, which I'm a little sad about. But, maybe there's still time to do so later in the other drafts.
It's always good, too, to kind of set yourself up with what you know is going to work, with what has been working very well recently. King, of course, is going to pick up that Ezreal in response to the Jinx, and it's a very quick lock-in. Tom Kench also on the side of Dignitas Academy. Karma, another one who we've been seeing so very much of. She just deals so much damage, and that Mantra shield is absolutely insane for somebody like King on this Ezreal to be able to initiate in fights.
And we were blazing through the first 5 picks of this draft, which tells us that both teams are getting what they want, which is always really interesting when you get into a best of series, because that isn't always true throughout the entirety of it. But for now, both Dignitas Academy and Cloud9 Academy have seemingly done a lot of their prep. Udyr taking a bit longer, maybe reflecting on this Ezreal and Karma lane, which hasn't been super popular recently. We touched on the bot lane pool of this year a bit in the last series. It's been pretty much only Aphelios and Jinx and Zeri. Ezreal, a big departure from that, but a lot of those marksmen were nerfed on this most recent patch. We are, of course, playing on 12.5B still. And Ezreal, by nature of all those other champions getting nerfed, is a little bit better.
Yeah. Might as well take him in, especially if you've got somebody like the Karma to pair him up with, like I said, a massive amount of damage. And it's the early game, too, that is really going to give a lot to Cloud9 Academy with this duo. You've also got Malice on this Hecarim, and we know how early on Malice likes to make some initiation. So if you can get this Ezreal and this Karma ahead in the early few minutes of the game, Malice is going to be like, cool, you guys do your thing. We can snowball this, because we're talking about scaling. Looking at the side of Dignitas Academy, there is plenty of it.
Something I'm really curious about going into a draft with these two teams is what's going to happen in the top lane. We've seen Eclipse and Darshan be one of the most diverse top lane pools, and a lot of really cool counter picks as well. Gotta throw Concept in there as well, who's got some wacky picks too on Immortals Academy. But for now, Eclipse and Darshan really want to have that counter pick in this game. Dignitas on red, I would expect them to save that counter pick until later and lock in one of these really powerful blind mids for Darkwings. We've seen him play a lot of Azir in these instances, where he's just really comfortable on that champion. This Orianna makes a lot of sense as well. You can give a lot of movement speed to that Udyr and provide some zone threat against a champion like Hecarim also.
Yeah, I mean, lots of scaling in general, but having that Orianna provides a little bit more distance, right? And a little bit more pressure in the early parts of the game. Of course, counter ability still in favor of Cloud9 Academy on this one. We'll have to see what they go with. The Victor, the Syndra have been pretty popular picks here in response. We can see now that it is a hover on the Victor for copy. Ryze has been a big one for him to pick up recently, but that Orianna is a very difficult matchup.
Mid lane is a really big deal in this series because both junglers on the Udyr and Hecarim want to be farming up a lot. You need to have that mid lane priority to actually get invades down and gain really large advantages in that way. Victor doesn't really scream out to me as a champion that does that very well. More safety here for Cloud9, but that does feed in to that playstyle that I mentioned before where they are the speedometer. If you go too fast and you give over too much of your advantage, Cloud9's going to ticket you, and they are going to make sure that they punish and they gain the advantage back on their side. They are the masters of punish in this Proving Grounds tournament.
And the final lock-in is going to be that Tryndamere in response to Gnar. Gnar, who has been a pretty safe blind pick, honestly, for quite a while now at this point, and is going to supply a lot for Cloud9 Academy when we move over to the team fight stage. Up until that, they have enough early pressure that it's just going to be Darshan kind of sitting in his island up on the top and trying not to take too much damage from that Tryndamere on Eclipse. But again, scaling. Late game ability for Dignitas Academy right now is absolutely huge. So if they can stall out C9 Academy, things are looking pretty good for them. It is going to be a struggle to do that, though, with the amount of damage right off the bat that Cloud9 has.
Yeah, for Dignitas, they have a ton of frontline, and the Orianna sort of acts as a frontline as well with the ball. You can bolster all that up and just be a zone threat for this Jinx. Speaking of Jinx, Spawn is the main DPS on this team. There isn't really a lot of that outside of it. Maybe a 1v1 threat with Tryndamere. If Spawn is resetting in these team fights, then Dignitas can actually keep competitive in those late game moments, which is something that isn't typically true against a team like Cloud9 Academy. So it seems like Dignitas are preparing more for this matchup than we've seen in the past, playing things like that Udyr. It's not the XU that we know and have seen throughout the past year plus here. He's the big Lee Sin guy, but he's showing us that he is branching out and he's preparing for the matchup at hand.
And I mean, hey, you know what? Cloud9, they were worried enough that they banned out Lee Sin in that first phase, so that's got to be a good sign. You got to feel good if you are XU in this. And I think the opportunity here also that was given to Cloud9 is we're not going to ban the Hecker, and we know that that's going to be a priority pick absolutely for Cloud9. And I think the response here, Dignitas is saying we expect that, and we also expect to be able to do something with the Udyr. So hopefully the practice has come through as we head into game number 1 in this best of 3 between Cloud9 Academy and Dignitas Academy.
I'm super, super excited for this match here, Jolly. As a long-time amateur fan, it's gonna be really fun to see these guys go head-to-head. Even not just talking about this split, you know, for Spawn and Copy, last year was their first bout in amateur as recent promotions. And these guys have been just knocking it out of the park recently, especially. Really love the looks from both of these players, and they are starting to branch out more, which is what you want out of new prospects in North America and in a developmental league like this. You want your players to really be able to, you know, break out of their cocoons and grow into these beautiful butterflies that we see in front of our eyes.
Yeah, no Corkies on here, no Monarchs available, but you know what? There is a lot of opportunity for growth right here, and I do have to say, King definitely likes this style of champion, so it's kind of falling back to in a confident way for Dignitas to say we're starting this one out. We could be kind of sneaky with it. They could have gone with something like the Shyvana, but instead they're sticking with something more comfortable and, you know, more forward focused on winning this game. And then, you know what, maybe game number 2, that's when you can kind of let loose a little bit and pull out something that you've been wanting to try more recently in this meta.
Yeah, Ezreal is always such an X factor in the team fights too. You have a pretty good understanding of what Copy and Malice are going to do, and Isles helps them out quite tremendously. But for King, playing this Ezreal, you can do a lot of different things. You can just dive in alongside Hecarim with your Arcane Shift and deal all the damage that way, or play long distance and try to kite away from things like the Udyr and like the Tryndamere. This champion has so many different options, and for King, a very mechanical player that's been in the system for a very long time. I'm hoping to see some really cool stuff from this guy. Is already taken some nice trades against Spawn and JJ.
And Spawn used to actually play quite a bit of Ezreal as well in the past, so hopefully this is a situation where he knows how to deal with him in the early parts of the game, because this is where you can take a lot of damage. It's going to be JJ actually on the forefront of this one. He's going to take the Abyssal Dive, a huge pop-up onto Isles, and this should be first blood. The heal to come out, though, from King. The Ignite
No
on
way.
top of it. The Flash and the Vision break by Isles right there ensures that nobody goes down just yet. It might be JJ, and it is Isles picking up the first kill in what looked like a great fight for Dignitas.
No way that just happened in front of our eyes, Jolly. That is a disaster for Dignitas. Isles ran directly into the Abyssal Dive. Hold on, top lane Eclipse, you gotta run.
Oh my goodness. Oh, it's
no.
a flash away.
Wait.
You can at least do that. Still has the ghost available. You gotta watch out for the boomerang, though, that's coming out of Darshan. And Darshan doesn't have to worry about taking additional damage on this one or about Udyr being here.
Oh man, we gotta watch this replay one more time. Isles takes a tremendous amount of damage, walks back in to the Abyssal Dive, and he is dead to rights at this point, right? You expect that he will die, but the Vision Pocket, he stays out of trouble, and Spawn can't get that last rocket onto him. He doesn't flash over the wall, so he can't see the Karma. And then into the brush he goes one more time. Oh, it's so sad.
It's sad, but it's also a beautiful thing to watch Vision break like that. Eclipse now likely won't be able to stay alive on this one. He manages to get hit by the auto, and so Copy says, I can go in. I'll pick this one up, Darshan. Don't even worry about it.
Cloud9 already off to the races in this game, and this is so scary. This team knows how to win a game in the late stages. If you give them a lead this early, you know that they're going to be able to snowball it from there as well. That's just who they are on the side of Cloud9 Academy. So Dignitas, they better get their stuff together, and they better do it fast in this game. Otherwise, they are facing match point in this series already.
Yeah, that's a rough place to start, and especially with a composition like Dignitas has right now, where they do need some scaling, they do need some time, right? There's such a big opportunity right now that Cloud9 has in the early parts of this game, and the recognition is definitely there for them, so they're able to take advantage of that. They're already almost 2K up on a team after less than 5 minutes, which is a massive amount. Normally, I'm not even looking at gold this early in the game's facts, but clearly we have to, because C9 is coming in so dominant.
That leads all across the board too. Even though there hasn't been a lot of action mid lane here, Copy with the kill up in the top lane was able to get a huge chunk for himself as well. And then Malice, he's able to pick up the scraps mid too, clearing out the wave, not even missing a beat, making sure to get all of the resources imaginable there. It's also something that Malice has been an expert at in this entire split of Academy games, and it's one of the reasons why Cloud9 are so scary at that later stage of the game here. For Dignitas, though, they are not fully down. They still have this Jinx, and even if you are losing really bad, if you have a Jinx on your team, you have never lost until the Nexus falls.
It's true. With the range that she's got, that scaling ability, she's just so dang strong right now. When you see a Jinx right now in the current meta, you're like, excellent. You know, that's a win condition. That right there alone is a win condition. And when you have somebody like Eclipse on this Tryndamere running the Ghost, as well as Udyr, who's going to be running the Ghost on top of it, really they're just supplying this sort of front line and this initiation for Spawn to be able to deal damage. But again, can they do it? The ultimate already comes out from Darshan. Eclipse does not have that undying rage, but he's going to be able to stay alive a bit longer under tower.
Look at the CS discrepancy there. 30 up for Darshan 6 minutes in. That is so big right there for the Gnar. I'm scared right now for Dignitas, and you can tell that they're panicking a bit as they move over to this dragon. See if they can get it.
A lot of damage there. Actually was taking a lot in return, though, and it's a steal. A nice smite coming out of Malice. He's gonna burst that Ghost as well. Let's throw the Onslaught of Shadows on top of that. Malice finds himself one for himself and one for Copy. Oh,
another
no.
beautiful
Oh,
punish.
maybe no.
Yeah, that turned out a bit hard to manage. You think for a second, like, oh, maybe Copy can get there. He's out of mana, though. So they take what they got already, and that is a larger than 3K gold lead after this one. Oh man, the tragedy strikes again for Dignitas. He's so close, XU, to smiting that away. Doesn't get it down, and Malice has the burst, has the quicker fingers in this play. But not to mention the ultimate. That was beautifully timed, avoiding the knockback from the blast cone with the unstoppable ultimate. Really nice mechanics.
Yeah, he is, as Darkwing's there, you're thinking, okay, this is my out. And then you just watch Malice glide along with you and drift exactly to where you're going. And you can tell Malice wanted to continue that. He's like, yeah, can we go? You know, a little bit of stutter stepping back and forth, especially given that King and Isles were pushing forward. But we'll have to see if XU can come in handy here onto Darshan. Wow. He does not have any Mega Rage, but he's going to be able to flash right over the wall. And that's some wasted time from XU.
Not fully wasted. The flash is a big deal. You're selling a little bit short there, Jolly. But yeah, you're right. They wanted the kill for sure. And if Darshan didn't find that angle, it would have been there. Really nice job on the Gnar to escape that one and keep the ever-growing CS lead alive. Gonna stop for a moment as XU is really trying to make sure that his rookie top laner stays alive in this game too. Tryndamere is a win condition if it stays that way throughout this game. And he's gonna need some help.
Oh my gosh, the damage there that Darkwings is taking. Of course, there is a ward that XU does not see back there. He's trying to maybe look for an angle. Copy also knows that Isles is down below. That recognition has to be there, though, as well, coming out of Dignitas. You can see the reflection in that as JJ tries to make a move up. But still, it feels like C9, they're the ones saying, all right, we're going to force reactive plays out of Dignitas by sending forward these proactive movements.
This is an attempted invade. I don't think XU is going to try to stop this one at all. Malice takes this one from under their noses, upgrades his smite to boot. And you wouldn't normally think of Karma as a really big roaming champion, but Isles is making it work so well. When you are this far ahead, Karma is one of the most effective roaming supports in the entire game. You have so much damage, and you can't easily be killed either because you have your root that heals you if you bolster it with a mantra as well. So for Isles, he is doing so much on this rift, not even just in his own lane, and that also splashes over to King's experience. He has a lead over Spawn, about a level entirely, so King is going to be a late game threat on top of it. Isles is just really doing a lot for this team.
Yeah, Isles says, hey, it's okay, right? I've got my mantra already. I don't need that level 6 for us to feel comfortable in this initiation. And Isles, I mean, you're right, Smack. Sure, some people might not think that Karma's a great roamer, but man, I have seen so many of these aggressive supports start the roam on her really early on. And when you have somebody like Ezreal for King right now, it makes it easy, but it's going to be JJ that goes in with the initiation. It's a lot of damage. He's going to launch him with a flash forward in response by Spawn is going to ensure that Dignitas finds their first kill of the game.
And that was nice for JJ. You have to be really careful to actually avoid all the crowd control from that Karma, but the Ignite cuts out a lot of the healing, and Isles finally punished for playing super aggressively in this game. We're seeing Eclipse on the back end of this play, struggling himself. I think he's going to escape, but Malice is there with the Rift Herald to deal all of that extra damage to the turret.
XU trying to come in now. It's King that's the target, but you gotta shift, you gotta flash. XU is gonna be able to lay down the crowd control and ensure the pickup comes through, but it's JJ that gets that kill.
XU's too fast with the Ghost, too. Isles is gonna be able to freeze this wave and not have King lose as much as he possibly could, but he already died there on the play, and that's really big for Dignitas. Meanwhile, that is the turret taken, I believe, as soon as Darshan decides to demolish it with his rune. There it is. First turret, thanks to Darshan just crushing this lane, but also the Rift Herald usage from Malice. That is such a massive lead for Mr. President.
Oh my gosh, it's so painful. You're talking about the CS lead previously. We are still looking at a huge chunk going in favor of Darshan. Eclipse saying, maybe I can kind of take this fight. I've got the Ghost. There it is. That's the burn. Undying Rage still available. He pops it right there. He just needs the forward movement, and there it is. He manages to win out on that fight. Great recognition by Eclipse.
Yeah, that's a big punish there on the Darshan. He did not recall, and he stayed greedy in that 1v1, especially without Malice there. Sitting on all of that gold, not going to be worth it in the end. As Dignitas finding their third kill in a row, but oh boy, that's the streak stopped immediately.
That's a rough one to deal with. The Chaos Storm continues to push big Dignitas away, and that means that one more dragon will find itself in the hands of Cloud9 Academy, who are just taking everything for themselves.
They're giving over some kills. It's a bit sloppier than we usually see from Cloud9. Honestly, this might just be because they don't get this lead this early all that often, but they certainly have it this game, and we definitely expect them to close this one out from here. 2 Drakes for them. We already saw in the previous series how strong the Infernal Soul is too, so if they can get that as well, it's going to be super tricky. Look at the gold lead top. We've brought this up a bunch of times. This will probably be the last time because it's just going to be true forever, but 1,500 gold in 12 minutes, that's pretty rough.
That is incredibly rough. I mean, all the plates were picked up as well by Darshan on the top side. Less than 11 minutes for that first one to go down, but it's going to be a fight in the bottom side that will go in favor of Dignitas here. Spawn going to be able to pick that one up. XU trying to follow the fight up onto King, but Malice is in the wings. He blows the Ghost. He still has the ultimate available. There it is, Onslaught of Shadows. Throw a Q on top of it. He might be fighting himself with a triple kill, but it's a nice stun in response here by XU, and King saves the day, cleans things up, a double kill, and 3 in the overall for nothing for Cloud9. Meanwhile, in the top side, Eclipse, he still has Undying Rage, but he's not going to be able to make use of it.
And big ups to King for cleaning that play up. I was worried for Malice because he's out of mana, and if you're out of mana as Hecarim, you are not nearly as scary on the horse. So King needed to dive forward with his jungler and make this happen. So the play starts off, Cloud9 are hatching a ward, they're sitting right on it, and it's the double knockup. I really love the combination of the Devour and the Flame Chompers. That's so much crowd control. Very creative usage of that one too, Spawn and JJ can tell. They've been practicing that one. So it's a clean kill right there. But then as soon as Malice arrives, it's revealed so fast that they should have escaped as soon as possible. This Hecarim is really speedy, and he will kill you.
He's speedy, he's got the CS lead, he's got the damage lead right now. Definitely in terms of items, has his full boots and is able to stack up a little bit more armor, but we're looking at 14 minutes and almost 7,000 in favor of Cloud9. That is an insane amount of gold that one team has over the other. Not just that, Darshan just continues to push in this top, and this is considering that the last pick on the side of Dignitas was actually Tryndamere for Eclipse.
Turret plating's only just fell, but Darshan took the inner turret already in the top lane. That's really gross. I said I wouldn't talk about the top lane lead anymore, but just very briefly, Darshan doing some more work. Hull breaking in the mid lane now with Copy, so it doesn't get the bonus on the cannon minions until Copy leaves. You want to ping that item, say, I'm hunting alone. You gotta leave so I can use this item.
Isles going forward, being real cheeky, getting the tether down onto JJ, and in the meantime, King is able to layer the damage down to spawn. His tower is still up, but there's 4 members now of Cloud9 Academy on the bottom side of the map. XU is in the wings. He is going to go for the fight. He manages to throw out the ghost, but gets taken down instantly. XU falls as well. The ultimate from Malice onto the backside. Spawn has to flash and heal away, and Darkwings comes in with the teleport, manages to get off a nice shockwave, and barely leaves with his life, but he uses everything to do that.
I like the attempt there from Darkwings to try to salvage the play, but it's already way too late at that point. JJ, your main front line this early into the game, falls, and he did not expect all of the cavalry there for Cloud9, and neither to Spawn right now. Oh no.
Oh goodness, as soon as that ultimate pops up there for King, he's able to throw it out. Sure, he doesn't have his heal up and available, but when you've got Copy as your support in this lane, it's an easy kill, and that should be yet another tower to fall on the side of Dignitas.
I have seen Tom Kench's win these 1v1s. We get to watch a different skirmish right now. Eclipse running out of ults.
Oh, no way! The last auto at the last second, right after that Undying Rage hits, goes down. XU gets ulted into the wall by Darshan. Totally okay with sharing tower aggro on that, and yet another tower that Cloud9 is able to take down after a quick fight.
And I think this is going to be 10K just about in the lead for Cloud9. Brutal stuff. I was mentioning that JJ could have had that play onto Copy. Copy actually did have some fancy footwork to escape the 1v1. Tom Kench has some damage, so I was concerned. But I'm glad we watched that mid lane play and got to see Cloud9 win yet again on these skirmishes. Just in time for another Drake to spawn too. Cloud9 are working as a unit, and they are working well.
Oh yeah, very quickly. The second these objectives come up, the second that Cloud9 sees an opportunity for a 2v1 situation, even if they are behind, they recognize that, hey, we get the pinch, we've got the speed, we've got the mobility, wait for Dignitas to make a mistake, and we will absolutely collapse on whatever we can from there. And that's the big thing. Cloud9, even on what look like little small victories, they've been able to take so much away from Dignitas out of 1 or 2 deaths for the team that it's starting to get unrecoverable now. 10,000 gold, Smacks. 10K.
They've done it. 10,000. That is usually the past the point of no return here for Dignitas Academy. They have to prove me wrong if they want to get this first win in the series against some heavy tournament favorites here for Cloud9. I know a lot of people are big fans of this team too, and I am as well. I really like Cloud9 Academy in this iteration. It's most of the team that we saw trounce so many in 2022, and they're back with a vengeance. Malice showing that his style works in the jungle here in North American Academy League, and it's been such a wild ride here. Do you remember the first games that Malice played on the stage? It was not so pretty. They were not ready for the adjustment to come through. They were used to playing with Frost Forest and Schernfire before that as well. But as soon as Cloud9 figured it out, boy oh boy, did they make it work.
Now see Darshan is going to get hopped on here. This is a good situation now for
mega.
Dignitas, a 3v1. That's going to force the flash away from Darshan, but on the backside, Spawn decides to follow up. It's a lot of damage, but it's a good response from XU. JJ now taking almost too much. Darshan will finally go down. It's a pickup by XU, but it ends up being a 1-for-1.
Yeah, nice job there. Nice job there for JJ. He saves his jungler with the Devour. The shield there is pretty massive most of the time, especially once you get to level 11, level 16. If you can manage it on Tom Kench, you can really save your allies quite well. We get to watch this play happen one more time. Undying Rage helps out tremendously, and you said it was a 1-for-1. I also got baited for a second, but
Yeah,
the Tom
I did.
Saves Udyr just barely. Yep.
It ended up, just the single one right there. Beautiful play by JJ. And staying alive, taking all of the aggro, waiting until the last moment to spin him out. So yeah, hey, you know what? They take one, and it's still just this aggressive playstyle that is working out for C9. But Dignitas, whatever you can get, you might as well stick it in your pocket.
Do you think Bear Stance Udyr tastes more like a Teddy Graham or a gummy bear?
Ooh, I thought you were gonna ask about like a gamey flavor. But you know, then I gotta in that case, I gotta say it's a Teddy Graham. I gotta say you got a bit of crunch there.
Yeah, he's got some grit to him. I think he is. Well, definitely in that skin, he's looking pretty goofy. So I wasn't sure if he would be the gummy bear. But XU saved only temporarily. Cloud9 Academy still rampaging through this first game of the series. They've got 3 Drakes to their name, looking for the 4th in 2.5 minutes. And they've been able to take so many turrets, too. They've got 5 of them, just looking for one more inner turret in the bottom lane, and Darshan's already hull-breaking his way through that one. You gotta expect that one's coming soon. And for Cloud9, they're really trying to redeem themselves from the last proving grounds that we saw. They took a very early exit. The second seed just losing to Barrage/Resolve, that was a wicked curse there, and they caught the bad end of that one. But they're here this time to try to right the wrong and keep things going, trying to face Team Liquid in the next round.
Yeah, I did not let that carry over into this proving grounds, as we can very clearly see. And now for Cloud9 too, they're just like, all right, we build up a bunch of armor. We have not allowed Darkwings to get far enough ahead that we have to really worry about this champion. Sure, the positioning and the ability to kind of get these fights started is still there for that Orianna, but not as much as they would have liked. It's a beautiful ultimate right there by Darshan. Eclipse is going to use the Undying Rage in response, and that second Rift Herald finally comes out here on the bottom side for Cloud9.
I really like that point about Orianna, as we do get to see the Rift Herald popped. Let's see if they can get an inhibitor turret. It doesn't look like anyone is even trying to stop this from happening. Not that they have too much of a choice. Maybe the Smite can save it. No, full inhibitor, 21 minutes in, and Cloud9 just continue their rampage. This is so much faster than the last series that we just watched. And it's Cloud9 of all teams. That's crazy.
I mean, yeah, that's again, Cloud9 in this matchup, you know, is the favored team. We're not expecting 20-minute games. Of course, we have surpassed that already, but given the fact that the last matchup also had a favorable team for Team Liquid, and the first one went over 40, the second one very close to that, it looks like Cloud9 wants to kind of reduce the average on these game times for proving grounds, because they are just putting so much pressure forward. Over 10,000 gold for themselves. They have 7 towers down, one of those including the inhibitor, and so that's really forcing Dignitas to just, again, play reactively and say, well, now we have to respond to these lanes that are being pushed in. JJ using the Abyssal Dive to just escape from this fight and this pinch that C9 is looking to make.
That's really interesting from Dignitas. Oh my god. Insta-kill on Niles.
There it is. Darkwings with a nice shockwave. JJ might be caught out though. XU definitely is. It's the onslaught of shadows that comes through. The flash back in response as well. Darkwings going down here. Eclipse maybe trying to make a move on this, but Darshan actually slows him down with the boomerang. That's going to disconnect the fight enough for Cloud9 to go back to the jungle.
1-for-1 there, but Darkwings is the one who falls on the side of Dignitas, and that is a lot more power than the Karma. Sorry, Isles, it's just true. I'm sure you would agree with me, as Cloud9 Academy make their way over to their 4th Drake in a row. No contest to be had outside of a stray Jinx rocket. Maybe Spawn's going to try that one. We'll see if he does, but it's too late already, even if he shot it now. Drake Soul for Cloud9 Academy, a huge power up, and they are continuing that trek to 1-0 in the quarters of the upper bracket.
And pretty much as quickly as you can get a Dragon Soul here, Smacks.
Yeah, actually.
No time wasted, right, from a team like C9. That's the expectation, but my goodness, the way that they were able to form this snowball and get it rolling downhill the moment they hit the ground running on this, it certainly hurts if you're Dignitas Academy, and it's starting to really feel like that situation where you say, darn, okay, you know what, next game, that's really what we're looking at. With the lead that has continued to be pushed forward with Cloud9, there's not a ton you can do with Dignitas here, because the map is just fully controlled by the blue side.
Dignitas Academy has been an organization that has been able to mount some crazy cool comebacks. If you remember back to the last season of Proving Grounds, they did actually have quite the Cinderella run in that tournament, but we're going to talk about that later as here's the Baron fight. Oh, Shockwave whiffs.
A couple members of Cloud9 working on just proxying these members of Dignitas away. Just 3 members to take that Baron. And it was pretty quickly after the Dragon's taken as well. Darshan goes in, finds the one, doesn't even have to use the ultimate here, but won't be able to continue on. It's actually a teleport to the bottom side by Darshan, who wants to continue to fight, maybe looking for an opportunity to get the ulti out onto 1 or 2 members. It doesn't come through. Copy with the flash forward, has the Chaos Storm. Malice on top of it with the Onslaught of Shadows, swings that blade around, picks up 1, supplies 1 there for Copy, and this should spell the end of the game. Darshan just doing a little bit of bullying here with King on the front side of the fight while Malice takes down these towers. It's gonna be 1 that goes down aisles in the fountain, but he's okay with that. First game ending in under 25 minutes, of course, in favor of Cloud9.
Cloud9 going for the throat right there, Jolly. That was one of the fastest games I've ever seen from this team. And it's against Dignitas Academy, too. What a first showing here in the upper bracket quarters. Cloud9, they're showing a convincing statement for Team Liquid to have to follow up once they have that matchup, I believe, next week. If they get there, of course. Dignitas can still reverse sweep. I don't want to counter chickens before they hatch here, Jolly, but Cloud9, they're really showing up right now for sure.
Oh yeah, this is kind of, what you expect to see from each of these players when they are at the top of their form, and it feels like a really good day if you are Cloud9 Academy or fans of Cloud9 Academy, and I can't expect that momentum to stop anytime soon. We'll have to see what Dignitas Academy can do. Of course, they have side selection, having been the first team to fall in this one, but Cloud9 looking to sweep this series as they are at match point going into this next game, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, and you get a little bit more Mazel in your face right after this.